What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 35 of Tardy to the Party, a.k.a.
T3P.
the weekly podcast centered around the holy trinity of pop culture. Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. I'm your boy, J-Sib, and to my left, as always.
KP, always laughing at the double holy.
And to my right, as always.
The bull. Tired, dragging.
Sleepy Boys here. But we just got out of the theater from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We will, of course, we're just going to start off with that this week, but we will do spoiler-free, just general thoughts. You recommend seeing it, yada, yada, yada. Bull, you go first.
Oh, man. Definitely recommend catching it sooner than later, obviously. I mean, this I thought it was fantastic from start to finish. There was a few parts in there that were a little bit strange. Not necessarily the storytelling or just the way that it was shot was a little weird sometimes. I feel like they let a lot of scenes drag too long, and I was like, there's almost like an anticipation of like I remember at one point I kind of did like one of these numbers, like let's go, let's proceed. But that was few and far in between. I mean, obviously the whole thing, I was a big fan of the action sequences. Less depressing than I thought it was going to be, which is a plus.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, so I would heavily recommend that, everyone out there, you go see it too. It's laugh out loud funny.
Yeah.
Even in parts that it's like the more recent James Gunn stuff. Like, even I felt like there's elements of the Suicide Squad in this where it's like, this was a serious part, but like you threw in this wacky, goofy shit that it's like, well, I can't help but laugh right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, I kind of felt bad because it's like, man, I know this should probably be serious, but it's like, it's just funny the way that you did it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So, I mean, it's a very good time. So I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend as well. Yeah, not quite as depressing as I thought it would be. Still a little emotional, but definitely darker. Like, this has to be one of the dark, if not darkest, MCU movies yet.
It was pretty dark. Yeah,
themes,
I mean, it was. And
that's kind of where I'm getting from you, too, with some other certain hints over where I was like, oh, this kind of has a little bit of the Suicide Squad element to it a little bit.
Yeah.
But. Dude, I mean, like, there's parts in there, and obviously not to get specific, but there's parts in there where, like, genocide, dude. Like, I mean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, let's be real here. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole complex of one of the antagonists is pretty dark. I mean,
yeah. But the three of us had discussed too, like how going into it, we were all hearing the same thing, like, oh, this is sad. It's gonna make you cry. It's sad, and I don't know. Like, yes, there are sad elements to it. I don't know if it's maybe just me, macho guy or what. I mean, there's sad parts to it, but it's nothing like people were kind of selling as like, oh, this is a tearjerker, and
the lady next to us was sobbing the whole time.
Yeah,
I'm like, I mean, for some of you it might land like that, but I got a little water behind the eyes at a couple parts, but
I'll say there's a couple times I teared up a little bit, but yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah, it didn't leave me in a puddle. You know, I mean, it was. I mean, I even saw posts about what was it? Don't bring your kids because
I would say there's probably
some.
I mean, I would say for other reasons, sure.
Yeah, that's kind of when you said that, and then when we were watching it. There's just certain parts of this movie that I'm like, I don't know if I wouldn't bring a kid to this because it's sad. There's other things in this movie that I'm like, no, there's other reasons I wouldn't bring a kid to this.
Yeah, and I mean, I enjoyed the frequency of the cursing. I mean, it was pretty.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. Like, there's
just
specific elements of this movie. I'm like, I don't know if a kid.
I mean, they also, I think they've said this too. Like, wouldn't recommend bringing your kids, and also like animal lovers. Like, honestly, it's going to be a rough movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be rough.
And that makes sense why.
And that's another reason I would think like not to bring your kids, especially some certain scenes.
And I think,
like,
I
I wouldn't want my kids.
And
to see
yeah,
that.
and if you're an animal lover, I will say that That's
Oof.
definitely why I think it made more sense to me when it's like, oh, this is a tearjerker, because it's like if you're an animal lover.
Yeah.
Which is probably that lady sitting next to our,
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
buddy Nick.
She
Shout
was
out.
going through it, man.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
He was telling me on the way back. I mean, she was going through it, so something must have hit close to
Yeah.
home. Yeah.
I think with me, I just don't really tear up like that because like I just am so cognizant of like, well, this is all make believe and fantasy and stuff. I mean, it sound heartless. Like I do love animals too. I think, but really, it's only like when they're right in front of me, and I'm like, shit. Like I don't like to really kill animals, but you know,
It's separate. Like you can separate yourself from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely recommend. I don't know if I can actually give it a score right now until after we like actually break it down. So I'm just gonna
I
give it the
see.
old.
I didn't
If
really-
you're gonna tune out
Yeah.
when spoilers come in, I would
Yeah.
just give it the thumbs up. Go see it. I think it's
Yeah.
worth seeing in theaters.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
really
Oh,
think we
yeah.
would. I didn't really plan on having a score ready right now.
I gotta need to process this a little
I
bit.
think we need to talk it out before I'll be able to
Yeah.
nail down an exact score. I have like a range where I'm like, I feel like it's gonna fall somewhere in here.
Our buddy asked me on the way over. He's like, "What do you instantly rate that? Like just knee jerk?" And I'm like, "I can't." I'm like, I was like, "I'll tell you later on." You know, because
Yeah.
You'll find out when the episode drops.
yeah,
Well, even when the reason I kind of need to talk it through too is because like there's like I like the movie. Don't get me wrong, but even while we were watching it, I was like, well, I was kind of hoping for more out of certain things.
Oh, I wonder what that could be. I was gonna ask you about a certain song.
yeah. I was thinking that the whole movie, the whole movie.
Oh, I like when we got majority through it, I'm like, huh. Well, that sucks, but whatever. I'm like it was pretty apparent. I was like, oh, okay. Like,
So that's what we're doing with this,
Yeah.
the entire character. You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. But no, I mean it's still a good time.
I think it's
Yeah.
a proper send off to the Guardians.
At least the
I
OG
can't. I don't even
team.
know
as
how
we
I'd
know it.
necessarily rank it yet until like out of the
I guess
three.
that's a minor spoiler, but whatever.
True.
We'll see. I mean, who the hell knows?
True.
What'd you spoil?
No, we just said as we know
Nothing.
it. We just said as we know it. The OG Guardians, and I said as we know them.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's they confirmed that before the movie even came out, so that was like
That's true.
so that's not even a spoiler.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like that's the other thing about this is like the week leading up to this release, all you heard about was how like, oh, this is a great send off for them. It's great closure. You know, it was like James Gunn was sharing all these photos with everyone. Just it's goodbyes. It's it's emotional, and I don't know. The movie that we got, I was like, well, shit. This doesn't feel too much like that.
No,
but,
it
yeah.
didn't. It felt a lot less depressing than I anticipated. A lot.
Right, yeah.
I guess they built it up like that. Maybe on purpose. I don't know, but
I mean, yeah, just to get people in the theater.
yeah.
Because obviously, as we spoil it, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because there's definitely certain actors that have said that they're not coming back. Period. So
Yep.
it'll be interesting, and I think the way this ended, it kind of tied their stories in a neat little bow. And before we move on to spoilers, if you're going to check out before spoilers, there's 2 after credits to check out.
But don't be a noob like the rest of them that left in the theater today. Unless you've already reddited yourself out of being surprised.
I don't know who that could be. Anyway, thumbs up. We'll see you in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
All right, boys. So, KP, what'd you think of your boy?
Oh,
Mr.
Well, fucking,
Warlock.
okay, so this movie, like,
comic relief to the comedy.
very, just dives right in with a nice little intro to Rocket's where he's coming from, and then we kind of snap to present day. And yeah, within 10 minutes, your boy's flying through space like he's Captain Marvel, which he pretty much is as powerful, like is supposed to be, and just right in, starts beating some ass, and like, I mean, he and I were sitting there like, oh shit, yeah. I mean, you know, like, I mean, yeah, he like pushes Rocket through like 5 buildings, and then he's wails on Drax, but what was just nuts to me was like the moment when he took Manus's arm and just crushed, like
Just
snapped
snapped it,
it
dude.
Yeah.
completely. I was like, he and I go, whoa, like,
Oh yeah, I heard
like
you.
you don't exactly expect that kind of direct visual out of a
No.
Marvel movie.
100%.
I was like, as soon as that happened, I was like, Infinity War Endgame vibes with this. Like,
Yeah.
this is gonna be like a legit fucking movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, my first impressions, I was like, oh hell yeah, he has arrived. I was like, here he is.
And
Him
just
has
like,
arrived.
and just like a flame burns, and it's out.
And it's out. Yeah.
And there was no smolder this time.
No.
There was no like little hiccups of fire there. No, gone.
Nebula having the nanotech on her arm was cool as shit.
Hell yeah.
And it was so crazy because it legitimately was like, okay, so it's nanotech that clearly during the time skip, the blip, snap, obviously Rocket, she says later how like Rocket made that for her. Well,
Yeah.
he obviously got the nanotech from Stark, but the way that he molded it though was after the Devastator from like Thor 1, because if you notice, like the beam cannon that she makes, it's the same like energy type,
Okay.
and it literally like would shift like the Devastator would, to me at least. So
That's cool.
I kind of like noticed that right away, and I was like, well, that's awesome. I didn't see that coming at all, but that's awesome. So that was really, really cool.
Hungry boy.
Hungry.
Yeah, same.
Late night, need some late night snacks.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised how little Warlock was in this movie, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so Warlock as a whole, yeah, it was like I said, once we're getting to the point where where the Guardians are actually going to counter Earth, it was like, okay, so cool. He's barely in this movie. That's great.
Yep.
You end credit scene him in the second movie to then have him in this one. And the way that you tied him into the whole thing, okay, fine. It worked. I get it. High Evolutionary made the Sovereigns, but then the Sovereigns made Adam Warlock. Fine, whatever. But yeah, just did not like at all how little he's in the movie. And then the other thing that sucked is that because like he gets wounded in the very beginning, well, then you don't see much of the flashy shit that I was kind of expecting to see more of.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so you just threw it all out there in the very beginning, and then you just kind of wrote his character off and just had him in the background.
Showing up as to look like a dipshit, honestly. Most of the time when he'd show up, he would do
Right.
something super cool for a half a second, and then you just look like
Yeah.
some idiot that doesn't know where he's at. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, I get that he was a kid and the way they explained that. I know why they did it, obviously.
Right.
But,
And
man,
what
come
was
on.
funny about that was like he was like a mature idiot.
Yeah,
Like he was like intelligent, but he was just so naive and stupid.
yeah,
Or not, he was so naive that he seemed like he was an idiot.
yeah,
Because he's just, yeah, that was very interesting.
yeah.
And-
It's weird.
And I'll say this, that some people probably, well, I know people out there are going to hate it, but I'll say this too, that I kind of feel you if your argument's going to be, well, they already have Drax as the big, strong, dumb idiot.
Yeah.
So why did they have Warlock just be another big, strong, dumb idiot?
A stronger dumb idiot.
And for all you out there, it's very odd to see the kid from We're the Millers who gets the inflated testicle from the spider bite as this ray gun shooting, super powered Superman that flies through space. Like, I just saw his face and I was like, yep, I still can't get the goddamn image out of my head when he's.
Dude, he just looks like the kid from. He's the kid from Toy Story to me. Was Sid.
Sid.
I mean, I just get that. Like when I see him, I'm like, man.
You're like,
starting
man,
from the bottom, now you're up here.
you look at him, you're like, Toy Story was live action. That kid right there.
I swear.
Yeah.
I swear, dude.
Yeah.
Every time I see him.
I still always think of him being Eustace in Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh yeah.
The annoying little twerp.
I forgot.
Oh
about that.
God,
I
didn't
forgot.
even think of that either.
I forgot about
What did you guys think about Gamora and the new personality?
that. Yeah. That
That was funny. Grunt at each other, because like that Gamora, obviously, like the hatred's still there. Like Nebula is long past it, but that Gamora is still used to a Nebula that hates her.
Yep.
So she's like the grunting. That was good.
I mean, I liked it. I liked how it was a more harsher take on her, obviously, because of the circumstances.
Right.
Oh, I remember what I was going to piggyback off of. James Gunn, I think, was clearly annoyed with some choices that were made with some of his characters in Infinity War and Endgame, which I think you also...
Didn't he come out and say that, too?
A little bit. And I think that whole scene in the elevator where Peter is all like, and my girlfriend died, and for some reason... because they're these magical stones or whatever. Like, she's the only one that stays dead or whatever.
That was fucking funny.
What do you say? I'm not an Infinity Stone.
I'm not an
geologist,
Infinity Stone scientist or anything.
Yeah.
That was fucking funny. When, like, it's a plot hole. Tony Stark snapped away Thanos and all of his forces. Tony Stark never met Gamora. So why did she survive? It makes zero sense. So him... putting that in his third movie and he's out, and Marvel obviously being okay with it, or they just didn't care, or whatever, who knows. I imagine the Kevin saw it.
Well, they built up to that scene. He kept bringing it up and just telling everybody unfiltered completely, and then they drop it there, so it worked. I mean, so they were like, you can still get your message across.
But it is funny. It is. I agree with you that it is funny how he absolutely threw that in there because he did not like the choices that were made with his characters in those movies.
But I also think that's why Adam Warlock was probably affected a lot in this movie too, because originally he was supposed this movie was supposed to be out, I think, before Endgame, I think, or Infinity War.
Had to have been
but then James Gunn got
I
fired because of the tweets from however long ago, and he went over to make the Suicide Squad.
It was a banger, and then Disney
back.
was like, fuck, we can't get a director to replace for this movie, and now our shit's screwed up, and crap, just get him back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, he might have even filmed Peacemaker, too, before coming back to do Guardians, so he had a whole movie and a season.
Well, hey, funny thing, on this day 6 years ago, Volume 2 came out in theaters. So I read that, and I was like, yeah, damn.
Yeah, damn.
Like 6 years between two, like that's a stretch. Most movies, when you make sequels, you have a trilogy or whatever, you usually, if you're gonna have a delay between them coming out, you probably usually have about 3 years.
Yeah.
At the most. Lord of the Rings were 3 years. Star Wars, the prequels, 3 years.
Prequels, yeah.
Well, they're better than there's many reasons why that one's better. Speaking of, that was my Star Wars movie last night, was Revenge of the Sith, because, I mean, I'm a fanboy. It's the one I have to watch.
Oh, dude.
It's
the best one.
As a fan,
yeah.
Boy. But let's not get into the Star Wars. Let's talk about Marvel Star Wars. Anyways.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, I did like, to go back to your question, I did like this interpretation of Gamora. I mean, overall.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I like how they even, honestly, I really liked that they didn't get back together.
Yeah.
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 I kind of Yeah, it's nice sometimes when characters get back together, but sometimes, like, no, the stories don't always end that way, kids. Like, sometimes you just go your separate ways.
and
It
it's
doesn't work
like
out.
it would have been just so predictable if they did.
Cliche. That's it.
Like
Marvel's usually all about them cliches.
Yeah, it would have been a cliche if they would have got. And I thought for a minute it was gonna happen because when he saved her,
Yeah.
and he's like laying on top of her, and she like liked it and stuff, and the interesting bit was at the end too when she did understand Groot.
Yeah, that was pretty
And
sweet.
it was like, okay, so you did know what he was saying the whole time, so you're making a ruse. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like she said, but like she kept saying to Quill was like, I'm not that person.
it to me it almost like Groot didn't want her back, and he didn't like allow her to understand. Almost to me, it's kind of how I felt it was.
I think
so at the very end, we also actually heard Groot speak.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if it's kind of a thing of like once you're like actually family within the Guardians. I wonder if that's more when like you begin to understand
him.
Yeah,
was when you're actually one.
Yeah, that
family.
makes sense then.
That's how I took it.
The reason I ask about Gamora is because I myself I didn't mind a different personality, but I was kind of surprised it was so like Ravager heavy, and I don't give a shit about anyone else. When it's like, but and like you said, I mean, maybe it's because clearly James Gunn wanted a completely different direction because he didn't like the choices made in Infinity War and Endgame. Because in Endgame, it's like, well, the Gamora from the past is still very much like the one we've always known. She's just jumping forward in time by 9 years.
Yeah, because even in the end of Endgame, when she's like when she's talking to Nebula, and she's like, that's the best I could do. It's just, there wasn't much to choose from, or whatever it was. And they're talking about Quill.
Well, even so, like she bails Nebula out of the ship and like has her take her hand, and she's like, okay, let's go make it right.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's completely flipped. You know, I mean,
I would say just in this movie, it's interesting that, and obviously there's a time jump between, the end of, well, or more so the beginning of Thor to now. Because remember, Thor was with them. That's the whole intro of Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Oh God, why'd you have to bring that movie back up?
Well, because they're in it for 5 minutes at the very beginning.
I know.
I'm gonna watch it again, Jordan.
I don't know why you would torture yourself.
Because I loved it. I didn't say love it. I really liked it. But
did you love and thunder it?
I love it so much I give it all the thunder. All of it.
Let's be honest. There's only one reason I'm watching that movie.
There you go.
The guns.
Hey, speaking of sexual innuendos, at the beginning of remember when Rocket?
Huh?
When Rocket and when he said to touch him and make him feel better.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And he goes, not like that, not like that,
not like that. Not like that.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
I will say it was kind of jarring because of how the Christmas special ends. Where everyone's like all happy, even though I imagine there's some time skip here, but like everyone's all happy at the end of that, and then everyone's absolutely miserable at the beginning of this one. It's like, oh, this is kind of a weird shift. But
dude, the drunken slobbering, that was pretty interesting too.
That was funnier than hell.
Hilarious, but surprising to me that they would depict it like that. Like, it was, dude was slop tart. I mean, on the screen. You know?
My man.
I'm glad that was all it was too. I was like, honestly, when I saw that, I was like, do not do another bro Thor. Like, don't have Quill now be a drunken mess because he lost his Gamora and now he doesn't know what to do with his life.
Yeah, I'm glad they only touched on that for a minute. Like, once he realized that it, he's like, if I would have been awake, if I would have been in my right mind, saved Rocket.
Anyways, so now that we're into the spoilers, I wouldn't take a kid to see this because apparently James Gunn is a lot like Tim Burton and wants to design a bunch of weird shit.
Hell yeah.
Animals with the whole I immediately, when I saw the walrus, I was like, this is fucking... And the otter with the arms.
Mechanical arms and
I
shit.
literally sat there, I was like, this is fucking Tim Burton. What is this?
Dude, it was a mind fuck.
I was what the...
There were moments of this where I'm like, what the am I watching, dude? Like, not complaining. It wasn't a bad thing. But
yeah, I mean, whatever. In the end, I
Yeah.
mean, I get it. But I was just sitting there like, this is some Tim Burton shit. I was
swear.
like, this is weird.
Yeah, this is like
Spider Bunny.
Spider Bunny,
Floor.
Floor, Toofy,
Dude,
Teefs,
Teef.
or
Yeah,
something.
Teefs. Teefs. That's it. Teefs with the F.
Thieves.
God damn.
Dude, the bat people, like in the house with the weird family pictures. I'm like, dude, how? Like, who is sitting down and like?
That's from the comics.
Well, I know. I know.
And Jay
now,
got to
but-
see a preview of Man Bat for DC.
I did. I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, so this is how we do it.
That's funny as hell. That's funny as hell. But dude,
James Gunn using Marvel dollars to research and develop Man Bat for over DC.
It's just
All right,
weird.
so what
It's
we
just
gotta
weird
do
seeing
is-
it live action. It's
Yeah.
just weird.
I honestly hope we never see that character, but yeah, just and then like the henchmen, like the almost like roided out mechanized like
War Pig?
henchmen, the war pig.
The War
Dude,
Pig.
I'm like,
when Warlock
what?
freaking was it Warlock or
Yeah,
Gamora?
dude,
yeah,
that-
was it? What do you like?
Dude.
he rips his head off and has it under his arm,
That
walking
was-
out the
that
ship.
I couldn't help but laugh. I was like, oh my god.
He still had it, and he was just talking, and this is under
Yeah.
his arm. I'm like,
Yeah.
he just got.
In my head, I was like, oh, so he is auditioning for Superman. Gotcha.
Yeah, right.
He's got the neck snap down.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna be pissed though.
dude. Yeah.
And for once, I think watching a Marvel movie in a while, especially after Phase 4, I thought the CGI looked really good in this movie for the most
Yeah.
part.
Yes.
It
I
did.
didn't really see any like massive like dips of quality or anything in any weird moments. Overall, it looked pretty good.
Oh yeah.
In the beginning, when Groot was just ahead, and like you said, the Darth Maul, I was
Oh
like,
my
just
God.
dying laughing.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh my god.
That's
The
another
spider
thing too.
legs.
Like I don't think kids want to see a head like Groot get his head ripped off and just be a little spider.
Dude,
yeah.
like he like smashed his whole body to pieces as he was just flying around, dragging him into buildings. Like that was brutal.
We almost and we had which this was kind of messed up too, was the bloated space Mary Poppins again, which is different.
Quill, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was kind of dark too, and
Oh.
that's kind of my one weird complaint. I'm like, if he's that frozen, he's
Dead.
Well, if
he's
you're in the
just-
vacuum of
he's
space,
dead.
you would fucking explode.
like
was gonna
like
say,
at
that's
the
the
thing at
thing,
the
is,
end
like,
where it's like the
That's what
legendary.
I was thinking. When he started to bloat up, I was like, oh, Gunn's going to get real realistic with this, and, like, he's going to explode because he's in the vacuum of space, because, like, I think technically that's what happens to you.
Yeah. Oh
is
yeah.
you
Immediately.
explode.
Yeah. Your body basically gets turned inside out.
Yeah.
So like as soon as there's like astronauts and their shit, one little hole, you get sucked through that fucking hole.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, vacuum of space. I was like sitting there. I'm like, well, I know how Yondu went. You know, he froze slowly.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what we do. That's the way this
That's
works,
what
I
we
guess.
do.
Yeah, that's the way this works, I guess. So.
But I actually, no Guardian died this movie. which is
That
odd.
was what I was really surprised about.
That is actually what I was really surprised by, too, especially when, like, the trailers made it seem like someone was going to die. Which
Well,
that-
technically, Rocket did for like a few seconds. 'cause he did
That's
fly
true.
low.
True.
Got a nice little call to call back to Harry Potter when
And I'll be honest.
Harry Potter talks to Dumbledore in the afterlife.
Yeah,
Dumbledore sends him back with the Resurrection Stone.
right.
I thought that. I don't know.
But Harry had to die.
He did. I called that for years before it happened. Almost in the
But
way.
he was a Horcrux?
Pretty much.
Do they bring up Horcruxes before book? What is it? 5? They
I
bring
don't
him.
know
Do
when
they bring him up
exactly
in book
bring it
4?
up. I just always had the theory that Harry was going to have to sacrifice himself because I always just felt like they were linked in some way.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just Voldemort was linked to him and like several other objects.
Yeah.
But
A book,
a
snake,
ring.
a ring.
Um,
Can't remember the others. It's been a long time. I need to go
Really?
back and read them.
Really long time.
Not watch them.
oh, don't worry, you'll get a whole new series starting from book 1 all the way to the end
Yep.
again.
Recast and all.
It's just
What are we doing, WB? Just
Make-
throw money at the. Anyway, sorry,
make
Guardians.
it true to the literature.
I think that's the plan.
Literature.
Do
but
not skip shit.
the best laid plans, though.
Sixth movie. Was
Oh! Finally got our closest, because I mentioned it to you when we were in the theater. I was like, this is the closest we're ever going to get to Nathan Fillion being a Green
Yep.
Lantern at all.
And he was amazing in his part with it. God damn it, I loved it.
So good seeing him.
Just I got one of those guys too. Like this guy, he's great, amazing.
'Cause
This one, oh,
Still
God.
just go for it, honestly. DC, just make him an older Hal Jordan then.
Why not? I mean, it's
Make
supposed
Kyle
to-
Rayner the new up-and-coming
I was gonna
young
say,
buck.
I mean, the show's gonna be about him and John Stewart. It's a buddy
yeah, but
cop,
so you
right?
already have those two. Just have the younger Lantern be. I guess you could make it John Stewart too, but I kind of always picture them around the same age.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think they're supposed to be around the same age.
But I'm trying to think of what else. What other big moments happened in this movie?
Dude,
Well, we got to see his wife, of course, be in it.
Oh my god.
dude,
Hey, to all you haters out there about her getting cast and everything, this probably is going to be your favorite role with her in it. Because she gets shot in the leg and just screams for her.
Fucking funny as shit, dude. That was funny as shit, dude. But that's what I mean, was like Gamora did that to her, and I was like, what the fuck? You know, that's why I was like, this new Gamora is something else.
straight gun to head immediately. What do we
Right.
do? I'll blow your brains out. I'm like, oh, okay.
Then actually the chick with like the bob cut and like the red pinkish skin,
Mm-hmm.
that's Ratcatcher from Suicide Squad.
I
Oh,
thought
yeah,
she
that's
looked, I
right.
thought she looked familiar.
That's right.
Well, there was a listing article today. It said all 33 actors that are in Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was like spoiler warning. And I was like, well, I don't want to click that then because like I want to be surprised on some.
Yeah.
I was surprised they actually, when they opened it up, they threw. I mean, it makes sense, but they threw Sylvester Stallone's name out there because I didn't know he was going to be in this movie, and all the way through that, and I was like, "Oh, cool, he's back, sweet."
Yeah,
Yeah.
for 2 scenes again.
I was a little underwhelmed by the creator or whatever they call him.
Oh,
High Evolutionary.
Yeah, I
So
was a
that's
little underwhelmed.
actually, I was underwhelmed with him too, and that's actually, he's another, that's what I meant when I said like, well, whatever I said just moments ago, and you guys were like thinking, oh, he's obviously upset about Adam Warlock, but I was kind of upset about High Evolutionary too. I'll say this, and then there's a little article here, the guy, Ramos, Soups, whatever. I gotta agree with him. He said it's the easiest Marvel villain to hate, and he goes, because the dude's just a maniac, and
Yeah.
he's fucked up, and what he does with these animals, you just want to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, honestly, like the scene where Rocket goes to his actual animal instincts of being a raccoon and proceeds to rip his face to shreds. I was like, ooh, yeah. Get it, dude. That's not what you want when you're a raccoon, because they will rip your eyes out. And that's why you can't ever let your dogs go around raccoons. like
Vicious. They're in a corner. They're vicious.
They're fucking vicious, yes. And yeah. I don't know. There's just something about it though. I think I wanted more like I'll just say it that the present day in the movie, he was legitimately just Kang from Quantumanium. Just, I have technology so advanced, just force powers. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Like, you know.
Dude, Nick even said,
I probably shouldn't have said it like that, but like that's literally like as he was doing the gravity shit, and just throwing people.
Yeah.
I was like, it's Kang from Quantumania. It's the same exact. He's just more purple.
Well, Nick even said during the movie, he was sitting next to me. He's like, "Is that supposed to be Kang?" And I go, "No." And he's
Like,
like,
no,
he goes,
it's.
"Oh." I was like,
It's like, no,
yeah.
it's not, but I mean,
Yeah.
same exact antagonist pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, like, it was good, though, that they were doing the flashbacks and you were seeing him at a younger age when he was like, you were like seeing the crazy
coming,
and
building, yeah.
and then like, then you get to his last piece of him and it's just like, I don't know.
The only thing is that he used his powers so selectively, and the rest of it, he was just always kind of away from all the shit. You know, like he was, I'll send people to do this. I'll send people to do this. Protect me. Go get my asset. It was always go do this, do that. But he was this all-powerful being that was 1,000 times stronger than everybody.
He had this technology and this, like, gravity manipulation on his ship that it's like, well, if you can do all that, like, why don't you just get your own hands dirty?
And just take care of it. If you're that powerful, take care of it.
Like, I feel like that was a missed opportunity to actually make Adam Warlock be able to fucking do something.
That was what I thought was going to happen.
I did, too.
Movie.
I figured when Aisha dies on the planet, and then that's like how he said, like, that's to him, that's his mother, and she died, I would have figured he would have realized that was because of High Evolutionary, and then he was going to join it. I was like, when she died, I sat there and I was like, okay, that's how he'll join the Guardians, then, okay, we'll get one more payout with him, and he'll go whoop his ass.
Yep.
Spoilers, that does not happen.
No.
He goes after the Guardians still because he just wants to deliver a rocket to the High Evolutionary, and then it fails because he's getting his ass beat because the ship's exploding. Or, like, while they're trying to bust out all the
And he's just taking ass, and he takes ass whoopings throughout the whole movie, like peppered in. He just gets messed up, like, just constantly. Like, there's always something that happens. And he just gets
And
waxed.
I wonder, and part of me, and again, like in the comics, he's like this really powerful being. So I wonder if James Gunn did that because he's like, I don't want, at least for his work, I don't want there to be the issue that they obviously have with Captain Marvel. It's like, well, okay, but come on, like, all powerful.
Yeah.
How big is this threat really to him?
Right.
Yeah. So I kind of wonder if that's why they took that in that direction.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
It's possible.
Makes sense.
I think part of that's the reason why they emphasize that he was broken from his cocoon early and how he was still basically a child at this point. So it was kind of gives you that hope of like, oh, we'll see our Adam Warlock one day, just not quite yet.
Probably in the next Avengers movie.
So what's the significance of the little furry creature that he has? Is there anything beyond that I don't know about that's supposed to be or represent?
I think that's a good classic old Lucas move.
Oh yeah,
let's sell some toys.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of what my thought process was, because like the when it's always scared and like it looks like it gives you the Grogu eyes.
Yeah, I thought. I definitely thought we.
Well, it's just
that
like
the Borlerb or something. I think is what it's called.
And it reminded me of like in Shang-Chi where it's the same thing, like this mystical creature that's randomly here.
It's peeing on the floor when it sees Gamora.
Yeah. Yeah. So like it kind of reminded me of that when it was just in there in the movie. I was like, oh, that's like Shang-Chi where like there's this random creature and
Adam Warlock's just
loves
holding it constantly and kill that thing now.
Yeah, I thought like that thing was gonna like reveal that it had some weird power or
I thought there was
something, and then just nothing ever
came of it. It was just a cute creature to give you the sense that this Adam Warlock dude, even though he's a jerk, like he does have a sense of humanity.
Oh well,
and honestly, that probably was the whole point of that character. One is have something cute in there, and two, this will be something to help humanize and be empathetic with Warlock.
Because who
he fucking destroys that pirate, or the Ravager. He just annihilates him.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
And he goes, I don't like the way that makes me feel. that was hilarious. That was where it started with me. I was like, okay, so he is going to be a back and forth, flippant kind of character.
Yeah.
But that was fucking hilarious, dude.
Dude.
What's she telling we mean business?
Yeah.
I-
And just leaves a burnt skeleton, and I was
Yeah.
just like,
She
once
goes, "I
again,
said
surprised
make
this
him
appeared in a
not-
Marvel movie.
Not disintegrate him. He's like, well, what business? He's like, he's
That's so good.
questioning, what's that even mean? And
Yeah.
like when you say that, it's just so funny.
Ugh.
I loved. Is it Quill or is it Gamora that threatens the creature? And he just goes, "Whoa, okay, now wait, slow down."
He says, "Don't be rash."
He goes,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
don't be
don't be
rash."
rash. He goes, "All right, don't be rash."
Yeah, just stops completely.
Yeah, stops what he's doing completely. Just
That
don't
was-
be rash.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah, there was some like genuine like good comedy in this. Like,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, most
Probably
of it
s-
stuck.
yeah, I would say there's sometimes it was like a little overboard, but I mean, gonna have that occasionally. Not many movies have a batting average of 1,000 with their jokes. So
Oh, dude, and especially in these when the tone was the way that it was, for the jokes to land like they did,
Mm-hmm.
that's solid. That's a rarity for it to be as dark and just. I mean, honestly, it would go from like a part where you're dying laughing to just murder in the next
Right.
scene. In the
That's
next
why.
scene.
That's why watching the movie was so like. That's why I felt like it was like the Suicide Squad, and watching the movie was so like it was just weird because it's like. Okay, at 1 minute it's very serious and there's just murder, and the next minute I'm laughing my ass off because of like either something stupid they do in the scene or some joke that's being made.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Dude, just the physical comedy in this too, like the looks they give each other, and like the importance of the characters in the background sometimes, and the way that they look at the
Yeah.
characters in the foreground. Dude, I would just be laughing sometimes at like when Mantis would look at Drax or something like it was just
Dude,
hilarious.
when people they were talking about, she was asking like how long people on Earth lived, and he was like 50, and she's like, does that mean you're gonna die soon? And Drax is in the background just going,
Yeah. He's like, I'm not 50. Oh my god. He's, what's the point of being alive? That's what I'm saying. That
that's
was
what
amazing.
I'm saying.
That was amazing. Oh god. No, dude, the action sequences for me,
Oh yeah, the action was great.
bro. When I can't remember, was it the octopus thing that was just snapping her neck and just Nebula's neck, and it's just flopping all over? I'm like, what
Dude, I think you and I were maybe not the only people, but we definitely laughed the loudest at that part. That was so fucking funny.
Just a rubber neck.
Just
I
smacks
looked
her.
around after we laughed at that, and I was like, nobody found that nearly as funny as we did.
Right.
There's so many
Hilarious,
parts in
just
the movie.
smacks her so hard, it's like slow motion, and it like breaks her whole fucking neck, and it's like hanging down, and she's still like turning with it as she's shooting and punching people. I literally, oh my god,
dude, her entire presence in this movie, like in the
so much better.
Oh yeah,
than the past two movies.
Oh,
And
yeah.
in the beginning, when she got fucked up by Adam, and she's laying there, and she's just, and she,
I know.
I'm like, oh hell yeah,
yeah.
I loved it. Dude, the way they shot the fight scene when they blew the hole in the dude's chest, and the camera went through it,
Yep.
and spun and continued to follow characters. I'm like, that is the best part of the best scene
Yeah.
section of a scene that I've seen. In the way that it was shot and the angles, it was awesome. Dude, Drax, when he like gutted one of those things, like he like stuck his arm in the chest and ripped out some of their insides, and all
Yeah.
that yellow goo fell out.
Yeah.
And Nick looks at me and he goes, "Oh God!" I was like, "This is awesome."
Yeah, that whole scene was awesome.
Yeah, Grace would tweak if she went to see that though. So because she doesn't even like anything where people are fighting like that. So that's why I'm glad. 2.5 hours. It would have been a long 2.5 hours with
Yeah.
her. You know, I don't know. She's just not that type of kid, but I could see how some kids. Shoot, they had them young kids right in front of us that were loving it,
Right.
eating
Yeah.
it up, like
Right.
up, standing on the seat, going like this, like
yeah.
like their front row in the church. Let's go.
That's a Tim Burton kid right there. They grew up
Yeah.
on Tim Burton.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Exactly.
facts. Yeah, I know, dude. Man, the kids, dude, with Drax and like him not knowing their language or him knowing their language. You didn't ask.
Yeah. Always so logical, straightforward, and logical. Drax never no outside the box thinking.
Dude, when Mantis tried to help him say something about the analogies thing when they're going back and forth. I'm like, dude, you know what? This wouldn't work in any other comic book movie. It wouldn't. But this movie, hell yeah.
We're established there.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it just didn't. It just couldn't land anywhere else. But I don't want to hear them talking about analogies. But
Right.
especially in the middle of a break of all the action, that's one thing this movie did well. I'd say at times it was a little bit weird, but they would just switch that narrative
Yeah.
right in the middle of like a shot. They just switch the narrative. Just
Yeah.
so the Tale of Two was a Tale of Two Tones. They weaved them together pretty well for the
Mhm.
most part.
Yeah.
But there was some moments where like you're like, whoa, okay, where's the pace at now? And what I was referring to earlier was the screaming scenes where they would just scream for like 30 seconds, scream, and then scream some more, and then we just have a close up of their face for like 10 to 15 seconds. Or Run Rocket's instance where he's just standing there. And just standing there. When he, like, I can't remember, like, it was like right after, it was one of his flashback moments that when he was out. And there was, dude, I almost started counting because I'm sitting there watching it. And I'm like, why are they doing this? Like, I know they're doing this for effect. I know that.
Yeah.
Too much.
Okay.
Dude, if I'm looking
I
at a
wish
shot,
I could know exactly what scenes you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I wish I kind of knew what you were talking about.
I think it was when Rocket scratched the dude's face off and he like turned around and saw them all dead. And he's just standing there. And they're like, and it's not zooming on him, it's not panning out, it's just him standing there. And he's like looking.
Just like a still shot.
And he looks up. And it's just for like I'm serious. Like I've never done this in a movie like that, like this, where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
come on, like, okay, let's see what else is going on here, dude. It was honestly like, I don't know, maybe it was just like in the moment. It could have been just in the moment. I don't want to say for sure, but dude, it felt like it was like 20, 25 seconds of him just staring there off into space.
Yeah.
I'm like, and they did that a couple times. They let the screaming go on for like 10 to 15 seconds. I'm like, all right, bro, like, come on. Like, well, yeah, like I get that you're doing this for effect and drama, but come on, bro.
Mm.
Those were my only gripes with it, is that there's moments that I'm like, man, you cut out all the unnecessary crap, you'd have probably had a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Like you said, I think some of that it was drug on for effect.
Yeah, and I'm good with that for the most part.
I'd say usually I don't get like affected by moments like that as much, because I usually just take it as like letting the scene breathe, like letting you breathe and sit in that moment for a minute.
Yes.
Because one of my big complaints, especially like with Marvel movies, and this one kind of does it a time or two, is I really hate when you have this like emotional, powerful scene and it just get it immediately cut by some joke.
And that's the point. Yes.
And that's where that's probably why to me I didn't notice it, or at least think it was a negative. To me it was probably a positive, because it was like, oh, we're sitting in this moment and living in the shock that Rocket's living in right now, because his friends and family that when he was younger just got annihilated essentially.
Yeah, and I agree with you. They're letting the scene breathe. It's just like music. You have to have measures where you're letting the song extend out and breathe so you can get right back into whatever you're doing. But it's like, don't do it to the expense of the moment in the movie. That reflection of 20 to 25 seconds while, he just ripped the face off of the head honcho and nobody's there. Nobody's in the background. Nobody's coming to shoot at him.
He shot the people that came with.
Oh, well, there was plenty of them on the other side of that little wall,
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, on and I'm okay with it. If there's a solid like 5 to 6, 7 solid good seconds, that's letting it breathe to me. I mean, like, obviously, I guess that's what the beauty of it all is. Everybody's interpretation's different. It's just like there's so much. There was so much drag, and I'm like, because even then I was like, man, this is powerful. And then you're like, okay, it's been powerful. It's not getting any more powerful.
Yeah, for me, I think I really liked that scene because that was like the first scene of Rocket actually truly becoming Rocket. Especially when he picked up that gun for the first time and started shooting. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
I was like, here we go. I was like, the first
dope.
time he's shooting a gun and our boy Rocket. And then, obviously he turns around and his friends and family that was about to escape together is dead.
Yeah.
So then that's when he goes crazy and starts clawing the face. And it's like,
in which another case, you're like,
no,
isn't this supposed to be all powerful dude getting his face scratched off by
when
a
you
raccoon?
when you
not
mentioned
at that point.
Okay,
Because that was the
okay.
flashback.
Okay.
And he scratched his face out because he shot the otter. And then the guards come in.
And then he
picks
picks
the
the
gun
gun up
up,
and lights
shoots
them.
them, but then he turns around.
And they got
missed
lit
him.
up.
They missed him, but they shot the other two.
Showed them all mangled in their
and
cages.
then, like you said, I mean, then he kind of just stood there for a minute. Yeah.
Solid minute.
We got it. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, it's not that bad. It's my personal preference. It's not any knock.
So, but yeah.
I also like how we finally got the full him embracing the raccoon himself, and he actually calls himself.
That was a
Rocket
great
Raccoon.
comic book moment. Great comic book moment for a movie.
Yes.
He also has a lot of really cool just shots. Like if you take snippets of scenes, where I'm like, yeah, that just looks straight right out of a comic book. I just always love seeing Rocket in the air, just shooting a blaster at somebody.
One thing I thought of just now, and I don't know why I did, but I think I saw where when you threw your hands up when Gamora first started, because the Sorcerer Ravager was opening all the portals.
Yeah.
He's always been a character in the comics.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
He's a part of the second one when they have Yondu's funeral. He's doing shit with that power, but it's very quick.
Okay.
And people have said that in Endgame, when all the portals open, the reason the Ravagers are there is because of him.
Okay.
And he was opening the portals because Strange or whoever was, when he was probably gathering everyone up, that guy was like, okay, yeah, I'll bring an army too. And that's like why the Ravager ships are in Endgame, because it's theorized that he was the one that brought them to Earth.
Well, shoot, they did it so nonchalantly. I was like, honestly, I threw my arms up because I go.
I saw you or someone's hands just go like this, like probably saying, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "No," I was like sitting there like, "No, he's always been a character."
It was this.
Fine.
It was this. I'm like, oh, so we can just walk through and open portals off of a Ravager ship? Like I wasn't even like thinking about that. I'm like, when I see him coming through and he's just walking, just opening portal after portal. I was like, well, I mean, okay.
Yeah, he's like some, like, I can't even remember his name, but yeah, it's like some obviously mystic arts alien that's just like
scuttling through. And
yeah.
That's why I threw arms. I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought that was so cool that they actually just, even for that quick moment, like they kind of re-established his character. Because again, he was probably mad that they didn't really use him in Endgame and shit, and he was probably like, well, I teased him at the end of Volume 2 for you to use him.
Yeah, right.
And like,
that's true.
You didn't do it, or you did it, but you made it look like Doctor Strange, which, again, the whole Endgame part of Doctor Strange bringing everyone in is because that's taken directly from the Infinity Gauntlet comic, but yeah, I just love seeing that. Yeah, he was just walking down the hallway.
Yeah, just portal after portal. I'm like, oh, that's what we're doing.
Didn't
now.
even need sling rings. He was like, "Yep, here we go."
All these legs, and here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were crawling through them. I was like, that's sweet, because because there were smaller holes, so they were crawling through them. I was like, that's honestly like crazy menacing for the moment.
It's just, and it's funny too, like the whole. It's like Gamora now is like with the Ravagers, and what's funny about that is like Volume 2 kind of played homage to how in the comics from like the 80s, like Nebula was never a daughter of Thanos, she was just a space pirate that worshipped Thanos. Like that's why Volume 2 was funny, like when Nebula like starts leading Yondu's Ravagers, because it was like the whole idea of like, okay, now she's becoming the space pirate that she was in the comics. And then now in this movie you have it where it's the other daughter and she's like, okay, now I'm in league with the space pirates and whatever. So, yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
Well,
Um
what else we got?
So, like you said, like we've said, I am shocked that just no one died. Especially because I'm reading here that apparently, like, well, we knew Bautista was just done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I did not know. Apparently,
Zoe's done.
Zoe is done as well. That's.
Sean Gunn might be done too.
I was
I mean,
gonna
he
say
at least said this was his swan song for Rocket,
Rocket.
but he still technically could come back as Kryglar or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Arrow Boy.
Yeah.
That was a big moment for him. That was a cool
I feel like
moment.
the only.
I'd say it was cool that Kryglar
I
kind of got like a
feel
full
like-
arc in this movie too.
in nowhere when he finally has his time to shine, and for the
I feel
most
like-
part,
Which kudos, just real quick, I think this movie did a really good job of balancing all the characters and all the characters getting like a moment to shine, which I think's a pretty impressive feat in itself.
Yeah,
When you come to movies like this. But anyway, sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I think that you're right that he might be done just because, like, you know, he makes a lot of shit with his brother. So it's like, would he really want to come back to play the character in a, you know, because he's not in the Avengers movies.
No, it's like
So, I
honestly,
mean-
he'd probably be such a background. Like this almost would seem like his swan song for that character too. Like he
Yeah.
finished the arc of finally being able to use Yondu's arrows, and now he can
Yeah.
defend
Nowhere.
nowhere.
do you like
Yeah.
my Sean Gunn call out when that little mutated human came out of that cage? Thank you.
Oh,
And I looked up. I go, Sean Gunn.
He might have been the one to do the motion capture.
I know.
Dude, that was.
Dude, I was like,
Dude, that thing came out of nowhere too. I was
like, why? That's how.
I
What
was-
was this for?
That's what I said. I was like, when that thing came up, I was laughing. I was like, but just why? Like, yeah, it's funny, but just why?
Just
Like,
behind them all, so they all left. And they're all like happy little kids, and then just
thank you.
Thank you.
That killed me. The boys fucking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the boys fucking killed me. I was dying.
oh god. And then the kind of running gag throughout the movie of, oh yeah, I got one of those too.
Yeah.
Just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
There was just like some humor in this movie. I'm just surprised, like along with the cussing and the obvious F-bomb that got dropped.
I know.
I'm
That
just
was
surprised
perfect.
a lot of this stuff made it
Marvel's
into a
first
Marvel
F
movie.
word.
And it was, I mean, in the whole
Yeah,
crowd,
open the fucking door. that was.
Through the fucking door.
Well, and it's even better too because it's like you just pictured like your dad yelling at you when you were a kid you
For the
know?
first time.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah. It's
just
like,
get the fucking door.
Just open the fucking door. Oh, dude, it was, and the whole,
That button
whole
right there.
crowd.
Yep. Just press it. Yep. My pull hand. Open the fucking door. Like, that was so funny. And,
Well done.
And like that, it was just. I'll say hilarious because like I knew it was dropping somewhere.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
It's just like that being it. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's hilarious.
I saw a clip of that forever ago, so I kind of knew when it would. I looked over at Nick. I was like, "Yeah, like here it comes," because I knew like the car scene. I knew that they were either going to use that or put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I was like, as soon as I saw him messing with he looked at the car. I go, "Oh, here we go.
Here we
Let's see how this lands." I saw people down in the front of the audience, like arms came up, like when they said it, because I don't think some people were expecting it at all, which is even better. But they were throwing that thing around. They came back and now she's a dick. You know, like
It's a
like,
douchebag in this movie.
No,
Dick was Dick was
asshole.
thrown.
I think.
Yeah.
Like a couple
Oh, are we
times.
pretending to be mad again? You're an asshole.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I'm
That
like,
was man. It's you're an asshole.
yeah, we're ready to be mad again. Oh my god! When I even thought that part was so clever when they first got on the into the was it the breathing chamber or whatever it is, when they first cut into that organic ship, and they're like all in the bottom, and he's like, "Are you an idiot?" They all just start going in on this dude. And who's that actor's name? What's that actor's name that plays the Sentinel for the company? Fuck, what's What's his name?
Talking about Nathan Fillion?
Yeah, you talking about Nathan?
Yeah,
Fillion?
that's it. Okay, right. I say I'm not good with actors' names, so I
But
don't.
it's Nathan Fillion.
I don't.
Everybody knows who
Firefly.
Nathan Fillion is.
If I see him, I never watched a single episode of Firefly.
He's who should have always been our Hal Jordan. In fact, he has voiced some of our animated properties, and they are
Yeah.
Mint.
If you show me that guy,
Yeah.
you show me that guy, I'll say I know that guy.
You
say,
ever,
"What's his
you
name?"
never watched the show
Don't know.
Castle?
No,
Come on, dog.
never,
For real?
never.
Pretty good
The
show.
Rookie?
No.
Okay.
I still need to get around to actually watch that. See
I
it.
do too. I'm just
No.
joking. Yeah, I'm just throwing shit out there that I just know he's in at this point.
I'm very bad with actors' names unless I see somebody. I mean, that's pretty much across the board. Somebody be like, "Oh, you know this guy?" I don't know. And they're like, they show a picture. Oh hell yeah! Hung out with him
yeah.
like all last summer. You know, it's like, but I don't remember his name.
So, yeah. But anyway, so like, I don't know. I looked up because obviously the end credit, the Star Lord will return, and I was like, well, wait, he said he
The
was done.
legendary
I looked that
Star-Lord.
up. So Chris Pratt just basically, the door's open for him. He's leaving the door open to maybe return as the character.
I thought that might be the case.
He said playing him would be strange without James Gunn, but he said he'd do it. So, maybe. I kind of wonder if the others feel the same way. Like, is Bradley Cooper cool with always being around? Because, I mean, he just voice acts. Is...
Not anymore. Gun's gone.
That's what I mean.
Bradley, get your ass in there.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
You're doing both now.
Right. Like, so, you know, is Gillian Dunn, or Gillian Dunn is,
Isn't she the one that expressed interest in like pioneering herself as Poison Ivy over DC? Pretty sure that was her, and I was like,
well, she's
oh, just
natural-
everybody's coming
I think
over.
she's natural redhead, so that
Yeah.
would be legit actually.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, they kind of hinted at who was going to be staying around if they were going to make another one with the other post-credit scene.
Yeah, I mean that's the funny thing is like, so I said like the OG team is done, and now we got the new team, and very interesting to see what the hell exactly that little kid's power is.
Yeah, the purple eye
Yeah.
that
The
lit up.
purple eye that lit up. Just
Yeah.
like, okay, what can she do? It's like,
Yeah, I thought they were gonna do a kind of intro to the new team and all of them individually, and like the post credit, like where you'd see each of them kind of fighting against that horde of whatever the hell they were coming at them. I thought that's how they were gonna introduce how the new group works together, but I'm sure we'll get that later.
Got a
on.
glimpse of what are they calling him? I think King Groot.
Oh
Very
my
good.
god,
that would, yeah.
Gladiator Groot looked like
Mhm.
Visla from I swear, just massive.
Oh, we got another form too during the movie. No, don't go kaiju.
That was
No
awesome.
kaiju.
That was
awesome.
Or do when they grew the wings.
Oh, that was sick too.
I swear.
When they both dove, I was like, how are they gonna get out of this? And then as soon as Groot grabs, I'm like, okay, well, is he just gonna like grab onto the
That's
ship
what I
or
thought.
something? And then no, he just starts growing out these wings, and I was like, oh yeah, that'll work.
And
Straight up Savathun from Destiny 2.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, he fucking plays video games, obviously. That's Savathun.
and
Then the Among Us reference with the suits, which he claims, no, it's not a reference, which, yeah, it is.
It's
supposed
definitely-
it's supposed to be a 2001 Space Odyssey reference.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool though.
But yeah,
Watch that movie.
yeah,
and
but
I'm forgetting the parts where there's colored spacesuits, but okay. Just saying.
I've never watched the movie, so I can't really.
It's
been a long time.
something.
It's something. I can see why it was so popular, obviously, for
That's-
when it came out.
Yeah.
Was that in the 80s?
No, like the
Mm,
60s or
yes.
70s.
Oh, really?
Stanley Kubrick.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But speaking of dark parts, when they do jump out, he's like, "You're gonna kill us both." Not me.
He goes,
And just puts him on the bottom. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh hell yeah!"
Yeah.
Just drags him through the ground.
There we go. There's suits.
Yeah, yeah.
What, in
Yellow.
2001?
Red.
Oh, I haven't watched the movie in a minute, so I guess, yep, alright, I stand corrected. I don't remember that.
But personally, do agree it would be cooler if it was an Among Us reference.
Yeah. Synonymous. Synonymous. Oh, dude. Shoot.
I don't know if there's anything really left. I'm sure there is.
To me, it's weird that they said like the end of the movie said Star-Lord will return.
The legendary Star-Lord. Which to me implies that it would be a solo movie or a solo series because that was his solo comic book run.
I would give it solo series and almost take it to the bank. I mean,
What do you think? 6 episodes, 30 minutes, sometimes 22 minutes long.
and commercials.
Jumps.
God.
Oh my god. No, there's so many parts though that we can talk about. I mean, and think about when we watch it again, like how many more things we're gonna pick up.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much to this movie. There's so much that we can talk about. We could sit here the rest of the night and talk about every single thing that happened, but
How would you guys rank it, I guess, in order of the trilogy? I'm kind of
I was-
stuck on that. I definitely liked it better than 2. That's easy.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say
Did
it's
it-
definitely better than 2.
1 is where I'm struggling. I'm kind of
Yeah.
like, they're like
Yeah.
really, really close to me.
Yeah,
And, like,
to me
I feel,
too.
for me, I almost wonder if it's one of those where it's like, depending on the day you ask me, is going to
Yeah.
be which one I pick.
Yep,
Right.
that's exactly my thought process during the movie. Like I was trying to think about, I was like, how does this stand up against the other volumes? And
I just sat there and I was like, I don't know if I can actually say, like, I sat there and I was like, man, I'm enjoying this so much. I don't know if how do I compare one and this one? And I kind of sat there and was like, man, do I just say like, oh, one's still the best just because it's the first one that introduces all of it? You know, do I cop out and play that card when I'm ranking them?
honestly, I because this one hits for me almost on all cylinders as far as like what I want out of a comic book movie. Like almost everything. I mean, there's things obviously where everything's gonna miss something, but I think this one's my favorite of the 3, and that might be the knee jerk fresh reaction for right now. But
That's what I'm kind of worried about because I think I'm leaning towards this one too.
Yeah.
yeah,
Had great action, had a lot of heart, and I mean, there's still emotion in it. These characters are great. It's great to see that they all had, like I said earlier, they all pretty much had an arc of their own, which is pretty impressive. I said I think it's drawing hairs. Like it once again could have depend on the day you asked me, but I think today, especially like you said, could just be initial first hype reaction. But I think this one slightly edges out the first one for me, and like ever so slightly. But yeah, like I would say like 1 and 3 are like right here. 2's probably like it's definitely a big jump. I would say not that I disliked 2 by any means, but
Yeah.
I definitely thought it was a downgrade from the first one.
Yeah.
Overall, I mean, a great trilogy overall.
oh, absolutely.
Especially as a whole arc for Peter and Gamora, even though that kind of got ruined by other movies. But
Yeah.
But no, it honestly is a trilogy that is like, there's not a single one that I'm like, well, this one kind of sucks.
No
But the other two are great.
No misses. No clear
There's
misses.
there's no clear misses. It's just like, hey, yeah, the second one's good. It's just, it's not as good as the other two.
Yeah.
Like, but it's still a good movie that's enjoable.
Yeah. Anytime it's on TV, I'll watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like something I'm like, oh, the second
Yeah.
one's on. like
Well-
I'm not sitting there like, oh god, the second one's on.
this,
Change
Kurt,
this
this
shit.
Kurt Russell guy.
Lame ass.
Oh wait, he's actually really charismatic. What's going on here?
No, I'm right there with you guys.
going
though.
on here?
What's happening?
Oh,
Nah.
man.
I'm right there with you guys though. I think right now I would say it's my favorite one. And I did during the movie too. I was like, but then again, like you say, knee jerk. We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
recap this soon.
Well, and the thing with
Super.
Marvel too, though, is just the fact that like they do kind of develop you to like these characters so well.
Mhm.
It's tough for me.
Yeah.
It's like I have the dilemma of like when I want to go back and rewatch the old stuff. Like I start a couple, but then I just find kind of sit there saying to myself like, yeah, I kind of feel like skipping ahead to Infinity Wars at this point. Like because like I've watched all this shit thousands of tens of times. I'm just like I kind of want to just get to where I just want to get to.
Yeah,
That's my own impatience, yes, but
we know where we're going.
But yeah, it's like, but I know where it ends up, so it's like I just kind of want to be there because it's
Yeah.
like I've seen all this and I don't need to be fed the whole origins and all this crap. So
Yeah.
it definitely kind of feels that way a little bit with this trilogy. But again, that's also just because like all three are so enjoyable and good.
I mean, I would argue it's now that it's done. I mean, I think it's in conversation with Captain America with its trilogy.
Yeah,
I think depending on who you are is what you're going to answer.
yeah. And like with Captain America, I mean, the first one isn't amazing. It's kind of like it's a weaker. It's actually one of the weaker MCU movies. I mean, it's not. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's just it's not strong. And the sequel though, like for me, Winter Soldier and
I'm such an outlier when it comes to this conversation. I'm the exact opposite of what he just said right there.
But yeah,
Oh,
because
really?
you hate the casting for Winter Soldier, but for me though, those two are above and beyond way better than the first one was.
Yeah, Winter Soldier is one of my favorite.
See,
MCU movies,
I liked
so.
the first Captain America. I wouldn't say it's great or amazing, but I would give it a solid 7. Like it's a really good origin movie. Like,
Yeah.
The
reason that I am also the same on the first Captain America, I'm like, well, this is good. It could have been a little better because, like, it just, the montage in it, I just hate that whole part. Like, I don't know why. I just hate the montage in that movie. Montage. Just hate it. I do. I hate the montage in that movie. Like it absolutely has it. It's like it's just cheesy. Hate it. The other two don't have it.
hate it.
You bet your ass.
Makes
If
me
you put a
so
montage in it, KP's coming for you.
KP coming for you.
Coming for that ass in the montage.
Like there's times where montage scenes make sense because it's like okay, I kind of get why they did it. But that movie with the first Captain America, it's like I feel like you did this to fill time. Like it doesn't feel necessary. Like I don't feel like you needed a montage scene.
Was that are you talking about when he's like going through all the wars and stuff like that?
Like yeah, when they're going through all the battles and it's like he's establishing himself as like why he's such a badass for this special unit.
So I think that was kind of the point of it, is that he was with the army and he was with the badass for a while, and then he obviously gets lost.
yeah.
America's hero gets lost. Plus, if I remember
At
right,
the
it's been a
end.
while. I think it was kind of like shown, like shot, kind of like an old,
I mean, that's
style.
true. It
Like,
was. Yes,
even
it
an old
was.
style montage too. So,
Yeah. I mean, it was. You're right, but I don't know. I don't know. Something about that one. But yeah, no, and I love Winter Soldier because it's like it's the spy thriller.
Yep.
Like
I love that shit.
it's a spy
Yeah.
thriller that I thought was completely obvious the whole time. That's why I don't like that movie. And yes, I don't like the casting for Bucky or Winter Soldier.
Yeah, no,
they
you've
do,
expressed that many a time. That's why I brought
and
it
I
up.
will continue to do so.
He's dying on that mountain.
Yeah. Well, at least Civil War did it a little better, and you didn't, I'll say that when I first watched Civil War, I didn't think Zemo was going to kill the other Winter Soldiers. Like, I was like, oh, okay. And the whole, twist that he was like, no, I wanted to purposely make them hate each other. I was like, okay, that's sick. Love that.
Civil War is great.
And honestly, Falcon and Winter Soldier isn't that great of a show, but when Zemo's in it,
Hilarious.
those episodes are amazing.
They're hilarious.
When they're in the dance club,
Amazing.
it's so good.
It's such a good scene.
It really is.
And there's no reason for it. It's
Right.
just there.
You just sat there and you're watching. You're like, Man, this guy was a total dick in Civil War. And now I kind of enjoy him. 'Cause he's just an idiot. in this.
Just a goon.
He's just a fucking maniacal goofball.
Yeah.
Like, God.
Oh my god, the dancing, the goofy ass dancing.
Yeah.
But
Any final thoughts? You guys ever nailed down a rating for this bad boy?
I mean,
I'd give it like
I can't go on the point something scale for this at this point.
I'd give it like a 9 out of 10 for
That's
me.
exactly what I was gonna say. I don't want to get too nitpicky with the point blah blah blahs, but because that can change. Ratings can change.
Yeah, they can.
Critics tore this one up a little bit, but audiences seem to just absolutely love this movie. So
I can see why.
yeah.
So I think I think I fell at an 8.7, which kind of makes sense in the end because I think I gave the first one like back in the day, like either an 8.5 or like an 8.3 or something like that. So it almost lines up.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think? Feel free to leave comments down below. What is your ranking of the Marvel, or not the Marvel? Well, yeah, Marvel movies. You got time? Put the whole list down there, and we'll check you out.
Sure.
But yeah, what's your rankings of the Guardians movies? Which trilogy do you think's better, Captain America or Guardians? That wraps up the review. Does it wrap up the episode though? Are we moving on with news?
Or do we want to meet another day and do the news?
Actually, how's the battery yet? Is it blinking yet?
Yes.
No, the red dot in the corner is just
Left
for the-
side.
Yeah, sorry, as a tradition, we went on a random tangent there for a minute, but yeah, feel free. We are gonna probably call it here for this episode. We're gonna meet up later this week to do the news because it is very, very late here, and KP and I both have a drive home. His longer than mine, but yeah. Once again, give us your thoughts on Guardians. Let us know what you think. Does this be on Spotify? Yeah, this will be on. Is it gonna be separate? Might as
Sure.
well just post them separately. So yeah, look, this will just episode 35 will be the Guardians 3 review, and then we'll come out with news later this week. Perfect timing.
I'm telling you.
As you can see, the camera has told us it is time to go. So thank you all very, very much. If you guys have still, I can't talk anymore. If you guys are still tuned in,
It's late. It's late. It's late.
feel free to leave a like. It helps us very, very much. Ring that notification bell if you are subscribed and are not getting notifications. Until next time, I'm your boy J Sib.
And I'm KP.
And it's the bull.
See ya later.
Later.
Yeah.